Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Now,
I suppose we need to record then.
you are recording.
Good. Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday. Always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And together this week we are looking at a poem from the third anthology of my high school collection, Analogy of Life. Dave, as always, I am so sorry.
So we keep calling them anthologies. Can we find a different word, like a dumpster fire, or what else?
You're implying that the term anthology, which is a collection of writings, is...
It's actually technically a collection of flowers.
Oh my gosh.
That's the etymology of where we get the word.
Antho?
And yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a collection of flowers that just came to mean a collection of different things. And then it became a collection of poetry, and then later, writings.
Well, I mean, poetry is flowery language.
Exactly. I like it.
I like it. So this is not that?
No, it's not that, because it's not poetry.
Oh, okay. Dave, do you have for us a poem today?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, with all this delay, I was starting to think you might just have nothing for me.
Be proud of me. I wrote 2 poems today.
You wrote 2?
I wrote 2. I
Wow.
am, for the first time ever on this podcast, ahead of the game.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. So this poem is called Deep Fried. Roses are red. Violets are blue. This poem is bad, but it annoys you.
Oh, my vocal cords.
Oh, feels good.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, Dave.
Feels good. Very bad for my vocal folds, but I don't care.
You're going to get a polyp just reciting that thing.
Worth it.
You have now done 2 poems where the reading of it is essential.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to ever have those published, how would you indicate that for the reader?
Well, it's very simple. These poems suck, so they will never be published.
I beg to differ on the pronunciations.
Yeah.
Or how did you say it?
Pronunciations, I think.
Pronunciations, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, would you have to indicate in like a side on the ways in which the word should be pronounced?
Well, with that one, I wrote out the words phonetically.
Oh.
And then in parentheses after, I wrote the actual word themselves.
Got it. So you did.
Because I honestly wasn't sure if I'd be able to tell.
Okay, so you did the phonetics.
Phonemes.
Yeah, you did the phonemes for the poem.
Yeah.
Now in this one, how did you indicate vocal fry at all within the writing of it?
I just have in parentheses, make this as frustrating to Aaron as you possibly can. I feel like everybody understands how to make you mad. Like, that's just...
I don't know if that would translate well into a print. Like, people reading this, like, who's Aaron for them?
Who's Aaron for me? That's a good question.
These are the questions we ponder.
Well, I mean, really, I have the truth, so I know. Do you know truth, Aaron?
My 14-year-old self apparently did.
Turning your own pedantry back on you.
Yes. And To bring it to the poem that I bring to us today, my 16-year-old self is far less confident.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I don't know if this needs a content warning up front, but it's a little more dark.
Okay.
Those who have struggled with depression or are struggling with depression, I don't know if this would benefit you or not. So just be forewarned. It's kind of a darker than our normal bad poems.
Well, but hopefully through discussion of your awful, awful poetry, we can learn something about how we both deal with our depression and anxiety, because that's something that both you and I are pretty out there about.
Yeah. So here we go. This poem is...
before you read it, I have to go and blow my nose because I think the vocal fry dislodged pounds of sputum.
That was a disgusting sentence. Okay. This poem is called Alive. Give me a reason. Remind me why I live. Breathe to remind me that you're real. Tell me what I am supposed to do, because I am lost and don't feel like I will ever be alive again.
Short
and sweet? No. To the point.
What's the opposite of sweet? Short and umami.
Sour?
Nah, no. That makes way more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's as dark as you think it is.
No, I just see the follow-up to this poem, which is going to be 2 weeks from now, I think.
Okay.
So as far as first impressions poetically, I'd actually say this one is not immediate cringe.
I was going to say the same thing, that this actually explores something interesting. There's not a lot of your typical terrible wordplay. It's almost like you had an idea and followed through on it.
And there's some semblance of, the line breakages are nice. So it has a poetic feel to it.
Right. It kind of has that cadence because of those line breaks.
Yeah. There's only one punctuation. There's only one punctuation mark, and it's the very end, alive again, period. So it's kind of a string of thoughts that are untethered.
Sure. Yeah, kind of that flow of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stream of consciousness. That's
stream
the
of
word.
Consciousness. A stream flows. You got it.
Thank you for being kind. I will not do the same for you. Can you just, melodically read the first line for me?
Melodically?
Give me just a reason, just a little bit enough. That's all I heard. I'm sorry, but that's what I heard, opening line.
That's amazing. No, that song wasn't around that yet.
You could have written it, Aaron.
I could have. Actually, no, I did try and write a Screamo song with that with that same opening.
Yeah.
It was like, give me a reason to love, or hey, you. Yeah. On the Screamo Give Me a Reason song, but I don't know if that was concurrently with this or not. I think Give Me a Reason is just, I'm done now. Yeah.
Yeah, you are exhausting. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But first impressions of the poem, it's not terrible. I kind of like some of the aspects of it. I like breathe to remind me that you're real. I think that's a really...
I love that line, but I'm realizing it's the wrong your.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So ignoring the incorrect your.
Yeah.
Breathe to remind me that you're real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool line. I have no clue who I'm speaking to.
Sure.
But the fact that the next thing is tell me what I am supposed to do almost makes this feel like a lament, a prayer.
Sure. Well, yeah, you could kind of mess with this in a few different ways to make it like that lament of to a higher power or to a romantic interest. You could even you could put it on itself. Put it on itself. That is not a helpful term. You could kind of like use it as a mirror, you talking to yourself.
Self-talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminding myself to breathe.
Right.
Yeah. Or this could be a parental figure. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways of who this you is referring to. And I kind of like that. There's an openness to this lament or this quest for reason.
And all of those feel authentic.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like a stretch to say it could be any of them, because they kind of all work really well in there.
Yeah.
Whether intentionally or not.
Right. So I'm trying to remember what I was wrestling with.
Right. Context would be very useful.
Context would be very useful.
Actually, see, and this is what I struggle with is
Okay.
Context would be useful, but also then it really limits the perspective. Like I like that it's open. I like that I can read myself into this poem.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Gosh, was this way back in season 1? Authorial intent and exegesis, eisegesis, all that kind of fun stuff. But
We have different definitions of fun.
no, we don't. You
No,
love
we
it.
don't. I'm a huge nerd for this kind of stuff.
But I think there is a freedom in leaving it open.
Yeah.
In that the poem speaks to a broader context, and maybe having the exact intent of this poem, like you said, limits its scope.
Yeah.
But I'll do that anyway. So let's see. In 2006, my family has a history of diagnosable depression. I have only been blessed with the diagnosis of anxiety. Blessed is the wrong term, I know. But I've only had anxiety actually like labeled. But
You're just kind of an underachiever, because
Yeah,
I've been diagnosed with both anxiety and depression, so...
well, not all of us can be...
Can struggle with brain chemistry like I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, I was most likely experiencing some sort of... I think it was more a fascination with depression and those kind of thoughts. I'm not sure. I have never unpacked this ever. So, but I think where this gets interesting is like as a teenage boy, I had thoughts that were like, man, life sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, puberty, breakups.
Oh, we've read your poetry. We know.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that doesn't need to be established. I think I like what you're saying here. This poem, at its surface level, is very open for interpretation.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah. Have we talked about the musical Next to Normal?
No, we have not. Go for it.
Do you know that one?
I'm somewhat aware of it. I know you're a huge fan, though.
I've been struggling with this recently because there was a TikTok that called me out about it.
Ooh.
There was a TikTok that was...
Wait, sorry. Called
It wasn't like me specifically, no.
Oh, I thought you got name checked in a TikTok day.
No, of course not.
Okay, well, continue then.
I'm not actually on TikTok. No, but they were going through like the quote unquote toxic traits of different musicals, and they talked about Next to Normal and talked about it fetishizing mental illness.
Ooh.
Because the show deals with depression, anxiety, addiction, suicidal ideation. It's a really intense musical. It's really beautiful. But when I heard it's it's fetishizing or obsessing over how we talk about these things, I went, "Oh, crud. Maybe maybe that's not a healthy perspective for me to have." Um but I
Yes.
feel, yeah, I know.
No, I'm following you on this train. Yes.
And there's also a musical, or there's a song in that musical called Alive. So
Oh,
it's been
funny.
playing in my head this whole time.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's a
But
real good one.
but no, the fetish.
That's a good word.
The fetish. You say it.
Fetishization? Fetishization? Is that it?
Yeah, we'll go with that. The fetish. Nope. The the fetishizing. Nope.
Fetishizing works.
Yeah. Okay. The fetishizing of mental illness,
Yeah.
I think, is a key lens for this exploration that my high school self was experiencing.
Sure.
Because in some weird way, and maybe not even weird, but in a very blatant way, that pop punk genre that we've talked about so many times lifts up those anxiety, depression,
Yep.
suicidal ideations as things to be trumpeted, or things to
Right.
be
Yeah.
as things that are desirable in the traits of a love interest or something like that.
Right.
So to for me to be exploring that with that context in mind, I think that really helps, because not only am I working within a family context, but I have the fetishization of it
Right.
happening in the cultural context.
Hmm.
Ah. Yeah, Dear Evan Hansen struggles with that too, and I mean,
Yeah, but it's way
but it's
worse.
a crappy musical. Hey, that's one we agree on.
Yeah.
I
We
think
can agree on things that we hate.
yes.
I think there's a lot of media that really struggles with that. And the sad thing is, so much of that media is directed towards youth.
Teenagers
Yeah,
especially.
exactly.
Yeah. I love that point. But I also want to acknowledge that we're digging into my poems from the past and laughing at it and creating something to be consumed by people.
Yeah,
And so we tread that fine line as well. And whether or not we fetishize it or celebrate it in a weird way, if we do, I'm sorry, but that's not our intent.
right.
Yeah.
And we are two people who have both benefited from mental health resources that have really helped us to be healthier people. It has not taken away our depression or anxiety, but it has helped us find mechanisms to deal with them better. And I think that's always an important thing to say, that
Yes.
there are always resources out there. There's Crisis Line 988, but there are also always wonderful organizations out there that can help people, including local hospitals, or as religious leaders, I will say churches, but we are not therapists. And
Right.
so get in touch with a pastor or someone, and they can help direct you to resources that are local to you, because we recognize the need there.
Yeah.
And there are people who are much more well equipped to deal with it than we are.
Yeah. And it's also important to acknowledge that we know our healthcare system is not fully funded or supported around these kind of issues. And so while we say things are available in your neck of the woods, they might be sparse or hard to afford. And so that is where national numbers like the 988 come in handy. Yeah, it's a tricky world out there, folks.
No kidding.
So hope you're finding connections and that you find reasons. I always pull it back to the poem, and Dave rolls his eyes every time, but
Yep.
that you find reasons to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, this, like I kind of warned up front, it's a little more serious than some of our other episodes. Hope you had a laugh or two. But Dave, I ask you now, good or garbage?
An age-old question. One that scholars will ponder for years and years and years. And I think for maybe the first time in our podcast's long tradition, I'm going to say this is absolute garbage. No, I've said that before.
Yeah,
I've said
no,
that multiple times. I say that almost every week.
Like 99% of the time.
Oh, okay. No, I think there's a lot of redeeming qualities in this. I think there's a lot of fun in the ambiguity. Fun is definitely not the right word. But I would say, with some heavy revisions, this could be a decent poem.
Okay. It's recycling.
It's back to recycling.
Yeah, we've done that before, but I think it's a recyclable material.
Yeah.
Not a tuna sandwich in a bag.
Oh,
That was you last week. That's not me.
yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Squishing tuna. Right onto the street.
Right onto the street. Well, we're going to end this week with the words of a true poet. This week coming to us from DeWaldo Salome. And it is titled, I Know Not. Holy God, where are you, whom I fail to find? Although laborious I probe and search. Wrapped in a dense obscurity I am blind, and when I pray I enter the church. Doubts in the center of my spirit dwell, whose harsh accent my bitter grieves revives. The mollusk is happier far than man, the shell oppresses it, and yet within it lives. Sorry. Yet life I dare not shorten, since I see mute sad mysteries the narrow grave, and the certain riddle with a hidden key, shadows behind, before me, all about me, everywhere shadows within me and without me, even your temple with its shadowy nave.
Huh.
This is interesting because the rhyme scheme changes from the first stanza to the second, and I think revives and within it revives. That's one of those moments where the rhyme works reading but not aloud. So we've talked about that before, but yeah. Anyway, I thought this was a really nice poem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of beautiful language in it that you could benefit from using, Aaron.
Well, I am not a poet. So
again, we know.
We know. And yet, Dave, this has been my bad poetry.
Now go write some of your own bad poetry.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. 3 whoops.
That was a decent turn on that one.
Thanks.
Yeah, you did that well.
Rhyme free doesn't matter.